Hi folks, this is Karl-James Langford. I can do a video log for the 4th and 5th of November, Tuesday and Wednesday. Obviously the 5th of November, bonfire night. And 5th of November, I was a long train journey all the way from South Wales, all the way up to Bangor in North Wales. It's about 5 hour journey, 5 hour journey back. And it was just for an audition. And I was really only in Bangor for about 2 hours, I think less than that to be honest, and just for the audition of a TV drama. And it was for an audition for Sir Robert Cecil, who was involved in the gunpowder plot, and or they wanted me to maybe look at King James I or King James VI of Scotland. And auditioning for the role wasn't straightforward because the Robert Cecil part was just sort of facial looks and actions and so on and reactions. So that's what I did in the audition, and obviously the role of King James I was to read his speech from that fateful few days after, where he was relieved in Parliament about being saved from the explosion that may or may not have happened anyway, and he's addressing Parliament, so I had to do that, and that was good. I think I did well reading those lines, but I struggle getting a Scottish accent out. I usually work with accents when I've actually got somebody in the room, and I usually pick off their accent and I can usually follow it quite well. But anyway, as one of my acting teachers would say, that you should never ever expect that you're going to get any acting job in an audition. Just do it and just sort of walk out and hope for your best. So that seems to have worked in one audition I've had this year, but for the other 10, 11, 12 auditions I've had, it hasn't worked. But I'm told that only 1 in 100 actors who actually go to an audition actually get the job, and if there's 200 people going for a job, then it's 1 in 200. So that's basically been my trip to North Wales on the Tuesday. And then getting back, I usually talk to loads of people on the train, a good bit of communication, and again, trying to be positive with people and just sort of banter. Everybody likes to, everybody usually gets out of me that I'm an actor as well, and ended up telling them about different things and that and this and so on. And I got back then really close on the line to teach a class in the evening, and teaching about Mesopotamia, ancient Mesopotamia, which I'll no doubt tell you about on Thursday with my Thursday video log. So that was really good. Anyway, that all said, on the 5th of November, it was Halloween. Everything, I was hearing lots, oh god, not 5th of November, Halloween, sorry folks, 5th of November, gunpowder night, fireworks night, or whatever you want to call it, and that links in nicely with the audition the day before on the 4th of November, and I didn't go out, kept myself to myself on the 5th of November, and that was it really. So that was my evening. But before my evening on the 5th of November, hearing bangs and all the rest of it, sort of my neighbours having fireworks and so on, fine, I went to collect the cloak, which is my cashmere cloak, sort of there and stuff. So it's finally been sorted out by Jilly, who lives near Sully, and obviously walking back then in the evening about 6 o'clock, 6:30, there was loads of people with bonfires and stuff, and there was a weird smell in the air. It was almost misty and sort of weird, been ideal for Halloween. And then in the day on the 5th of November, I had a walk. It was a very ghostly walk, and let's tell you one of the ghost stories. Basically, it was a walk with 6 of my students. We started about 2 o'clock. We finished about 4:30. as it was getting dark, dusky. I told 4 ghost stories on the way from Sully all the way through to the Bendricks. And one of the ghost stories went as follows, one that I told. Approximately about 1830, there was a captain of a local ship that was moored at the very accommodating harbour port at Sully, which is near Barry, between Barry and Cardiff. And he lived at Sully House. And he decided, as a one-off, to take his wife with him on his next sail to France, where he was going to collect goods with his crew and obviously bring them back to the port and so on. Well, sailors, as we all know, don't like women to go on board a ship, but nevertheless he convinced them it wouldn't be bad luck. That's what they believe. A woman on board's bad luck. So she went on board. Everything was fine until halfway to the journey to France she fell ill. He didn't know what to do. He didn't have a doctor on board or anything, and things got worse and worse, and he didn't tell the crew what was going on. They were probably suspicious. They didn't see her, and getting close to France she died. Now, the usual thing with anyone who dies on board is to place them into the sea, but he didn't want to do that. He wanted to bring her all the way back on the return journey. So he didn't tell anyone on board she had died. I decided to put her in a leadened, lined box in his cabin, and obviously he kept it together. Everyone was asking where his wife was, and he basically said she's not feeling very well. And he decided in France to pick up a servant, which he brought on board, and he said to the servant, "Look, I'll pay you good money, but don't tell anyone that she's died. You've got to pretend that you're looking after my wife, basically to keep everybody out of the cabin, because they'll probably mutiny and throw her overboard because it's bad luck, the body of her overboard." So the servant looked after his wife, and on the return journey coming into the port at Sully, he waited for the crew to go. All the crew wanted to say, hello to his wife, and they were concerned, and he said, no, she's okay. So when they had all gone, he asked the servant to help him. That's why he got another reason why he got the servant in the first place. They carried the chest off the boat, the lead line chest, which was heavy. It wasn't thick lead, but heavy enough. And he basically put her in the garden, in some woods beyond the house, garden wood. And nobody's going to go in his garden. And he said to paid the servant well, and said, "Look, just go disappear, don't tell anyone." Next day he told the local parson that his wife had died. Parson got the coffin maker round, and Captain said, "Look, there's no need to measure her up, she's upstairs." Just sort of, it was easy then when people had died. And anyway, he loved his wife very dearly. And then then the story has it that a day later the coffin was ready. They worked fast then, because they had to bury people quickly. It was probably a coffin he already had. And as he went into the garden, the trees, the box and the body was gone. He was really, really upset, and didn't know where the body was, so couldn't do anything about it. So he decided that in the coffin he was going to put one of his wife's best dresses and the doll that had belonged to their child, the child had passed on a few years earlier, sadly. and a few other things of her possessions in the coffin, and the coffin was buried in the Lavernock Church graveyard, which is just down the road. Well, within walking distance, 40-50 minutes. And then suddenly, a few years later, not suddenly, I missed that bit there, got distracted. A few years later, obviously after the funeral, the captain died heartbroken, and that was it. That was the end of the story. However, back 100 years ago, this is 80 years on, there were stories of a ghost lurking in the woods in a white dress, looking for something. 60 years ago then, they were renovating the house, they pulled up a slab and they found the body of a woman under the slab. And they thought, oh, this must be related to the guy who used to live here, the captain. So they buried the body at the captain's plot in the Swanbridge churchyard. And then, interestingly enough, the ghost was no longer seen. And they believe that the ghost had been searching for the clothes that her husband had buried, the doll that was very precious to her, and being reunited with her husband, job done. Ghost was no longer seen. Anyway, that's a spooky ghost story for today. Hopefully you watch my video logs over the next few days. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you.